Okay, good morning. So we're on this booklet. This is me going through these questions. So these are the questions on pages 3, 4, 7, 8, 23, 24, 27, 28. We will share the full mark scheme with you later, probably after Easter, when we've finished this part of the specifications. That's why I'm doing it in slots at the moment. So I've not done a normal video. I thought I'd try this out, but it has taken a while to put together, so it might go back to the normal video. Anyway, so question 3 and question 4. Firstly, it asks you for the species richness. If you remember, that's just the number of species there. So if you can see, there is a common heather, red fescue, vetch and white clover. There are 4 species there. The next one, we have to calculate the index of diversity, and it gives you the equation. Now, because that equation is in the specification, they don't have to give you that equation. They do tend to, but be aware they don't have to. Okay? So, I've put the working out below for you. So the total number was 26. And then in brackets 25, and then the bottom one is the sum of each individual species in terms of how many individuals are each one. So that's there. So for 2 marks, it's 2.68 is your answer. However, it's a bit cut off at the side, you can't see it. If you have got either the numerator, the top number, or the denominator correct, one or the other, and you then get the wrong answer, if you've got one of those correct, then you get 1 mark. Now, this was quite lenient. Normally, it's the bottom answer they want right, not the top one, to give you 1 mark. Okay? So if you turn over for question on page 4 now, suggest how this student would obtain data to give a more precise value for the index of diversity. This is from a specimen. I'm not sure they'd use the word precise anymore. I think probably they will use reliable data. The mark schemes were, number 1, more samples and calculate a mean. Okay? I should have underlined that really. If you've just said take more samples without saying calculate a mean, you don't get that mark. Second mark point is they want a method of random sampling. So if you've just said random sampling, you do not get the mark. You need to give a method. So I've just put below what we mean by that. So you have a map of the area, you put a grid over it, and then you'd use a random number generator to produce coordinates. Now, obviously, if this was a bigger question, then you would write all of that. I think you need to just have, if you've just put random sampling, you just don't get it. You must give a method of how you would do random sampling. Okay, questions 7 and 8. So this is a nice one because it brings in standard deviation in there. Okay, so the mean species richness for the dung beetles in the rough grazing area. So I've just put an arrow. If you can see, it's the graph on the left hand side that I've coloured in orange, and it's that one there, so it's 14. The next question refers to the orange graph as well. In addition to the information provided, what other measurements is required to calculate the index of diversity? So remember, the index of diversity does not just calculate the number of species, it's the number of individuals of each species. Okay? The next question below, 4.3, I've coloured in pink because it's referring to figure 5, so it's the graph on the other side, the pink graph. Explain what, I can't even read the thing, it's quite small. Explain what the standard deviations suggest about the difference in the mean number of dung beetles between the different types of farms. So if you look at the graph, you should be able to see that all of those standard deviations do not overlap from each other. There's no overlap in the standard deviations, 1 mark. Therefore, there is a significant difference in the means of the 3 farms, and it isn't due to chance. Okay? So if you've just said, therefore, there's a significant difference in the means of the 3 farms, or a significant difference in the means, you should get that 2nd mark. Just point out what I put at the bottom. It is not that the results are significant, and I put a little cartoon below going, no! Alright, so make sure we get that right. If you turn over for this question, again, why do we choose them at random? It's to remove or avoid bias, that's fine. On the intensive farms, farmers had removed hedges to increase land for grazing. This resulted in a decrease in the diversity of birds on these farms. Explain why the removal of hedges. Okay, so this is all of these are mark scheme-ish answers. So by removing hedges, we are removing species or removing types of plants or removing insects. Okay, now all of those are food sources for the birds. So therefore there are fewer food sources or there is a less variety of food. However, we cannot say, it's not good enough to say less food. The reason we can't say that is because one kind of food is going to attract one kind of bird. So that's not going to have any impact on the species diversity. It's going to only have an impact on one type of species, not all of them. So therefore we've got to talk about different types of food sources, or different food sources, or a larger variety of food is going to be removed, not just less food. Finally, fewer habitats or niches. Now, niche is a term and habitat is a term we'll come across in topic 5. A habitat is a place where an organism lives. A niche is a little bit more than that. It's where an organism lives, survives, it's where it feeds, and it's how its body is physically adapted to be in that environment. So no two species can occupy the same niche. Okay, so that's why for habitats and niche we don't need to say fewer different habitats and niches, because it's already implied within the phrase itself. Right, next one, 23 and 24. So again, it's back again. Why do we choose sites at random? To avoid bias. Here's the calculation below. So we're just looking at the woodland. For 2 marks, you can get any of those answers at the bottom: 1.28, 1.29, 1.285, or 1.3. However, if you have incorrectly rounded it or got the wrong answer, if you have your denominator right, I've put it in orange, so that's 318250. If you've got that right but the answer wrong, you can get 1 mark. Second part of that question, if you turn over, it's quite a big one. It's asking about, we have to do an estimate to say whether, without carrying out any other calculations, estimate whether the index of diversity for the wheat is higher or lower than the wood. If you look back at the data, you should be able to see not only are there less species, fewer species, but there's also fewer individuals as well. So we know it's going to be fewer species, and it's actually listed some of them for the first mark point. So there's none of the aphid or the butterfly or the ladybird, or there's only 3 species there. Next mark point, mostly 1 species, or mostly bird, cherry aphid, fewer plant species. So those are the 3. You can pick 2 out of those to get your 2 marks. 7C, a journalist concluded this shows that farming reduces species diversity. So to evaluate it, we need a for and against argument. So for, well, we've calculated the index of diversity is higher in the wood than it is the wheat. Against it, it's only wheat field, or only comparing with the wood. It's only one type of habitat we're looking at. We're only considering insects on this one, so therefore it doesn't tell us. It could be all sorts of other species where it's not a problem at all. Okay, for the last one, 7D, this is a mark scheme answer, so we've come across this one again. About hedgerows. Hedgerows provide a greater variety of plants, more habitats and niches, greater variety of food or more food sources, not more food. Right, final question, which is 27, 28. Why do we do a large number of samples at each site? Because it will give us a more reliable mean, or makes the data more representative. It does not make our results more reliable. So I should have written that underneath. It does not make our results. Taking more samples does not make those individual samples more reliable. It makes the mean that we calculate from it more reliable. So be really clear. Why do we do things at random? To remove bias or avoid bias. And then we've got the calculation. So I've written it out for you. And just as in the other ones, so you get 2 marks for 5.8. You get 1 mark if you got this incorrect if you got the answer incorrect, but you've put your denominator as 216, so that's it. And again, it's exactly the same question again and again, so you can see why these are mark scheme note type questions when we get there. It looks at a golf course, and this idea the golf course has got, you can see, a variety of different types of foods, etc. So it's got short grass, it's got longer grass cut less frequently, it's got long grass and shrubs. So it says the index of diversity for insects on the golf course is a lot higher than those for the surrounding grassland. So the answers are: increases the variety of plants, shrubs or grass, more habitats, niches, greater variety of food, more food sources, not more food. Okay, so that hopefully is quite clear for you. Have a good day.